Well, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I know on a nice Saturday you have a lot more things to do than listen to some guy from Washington in a suit talk to you about things you already know. But when we in our practice, we have a national, actually international practice, when we see significant things happen that are leading edge not only from industry, but from government, and from communities, we think it's really important to take a moment and recognize those, as all of you do, to get the mayor out on a Monday or a Saturday morning when I'm sure he has many other things to do, really speaks volumes for what's going on here. So what I want to do is talk about a little bit, it's going to take me a minute or two, but I think it's really important. I want to talk a little bit about the significance of the accomplishment that this developer and these builders have done, because this is really cutting edge stuff. To do that, I need to cover three things. I want to talk a little bit about our company. I want to talk about the standard, the green building standard, and then our process for making sure that everything they say they're going to do is done. First, the NAHB Research Center. We are a wholly owned but independent subsidiary of the National Association of Home Builders. We are not a membership organization. I am a for-profit corporation. I'm a C corporation. I am judged by my board of directors exclusively on my balance sheet. Now, the mission of my company is to improve the quality, affordability, durability, and environmental performance of housing by removing barriers to innovation, right? So what we're talking about is innovative development, innovative housing, and there are all kinds of barriers to why it's hard and a cost-effective way to bring that to market, right? So that's what we're responsible for doing. We're an accredited test lab. If you were to come, if you ever on the East Coast and you come to the Washington metropolitan area, please come see our facilities. We have 20 acres and we're engineers, we're third-party engineers. We build things, we break things, we test things. We are doing in our lab some of the leading research in North America on energy systems, moisture management. The leading researcher on moisture management sits in our office, right? Our clients include government entities like DOE. We're a Building America team contractor that is pushing the bounds of energy performance in the home. But the most important thing to know is we are third parties, right? We're independent, accredited third parties. We maintain an IAS accredited laboratory. That means the code officials of the world recognize my mark. We've been certifying products for over almost 50 years. And so we're relevant in the code arena. So while we are proudly owned by a large membership organization, it's really important that you understand they have nothing to do with the conduct of my business. And that's really important. The Federal Trade Commission, fortunately, has really been ratcheting down on greenwashing claims in the market, and they have made it clear to the market, membership organizations, by definition, cannot issue third-party certifications. There's a conflict of interest. They say you must disclose them as a second-party certification. Doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, but the market needs to know whether or not there are potential conflicts of interest in that thing. So, one of the capabilities we have is that we're an ANSI-accredited standard development organization. The American National Standards Institute accredits organizations who meet their requirements and demonstrate ongoing compliance for their ability to develop consensus standards. This is where this really gets exciting. The NGBS, the ICC 700, which is the reference. Notice the reference to ICC. It's an ICC document, International Code Council. It's not a home builder's document. It's a code official document. Is the first and only consensus standard on green. There is no other. It is the most rigorous consensus standard on green. If you look at all the green programs that are out there, many of them are good. They all have about 6 categories of performance, right? We have to do energy, we have to manage indoor air quality, we have to maintain water, we have to be careful in lot development and site design. We're the only program where in each of those 6 categories, to move up the scale from bronze to silver to gold to emerald, you have to achieve higher level performance in each of those 6 categories. So we're always telling our clients, you understand, your highest score is governed by, your highest rating is governed by your lowest score. So we could build, a builder could build an emerald level house with the exception of, say, water conservation. If that came in at bronze, in our world, that's a bronze house. And that's really important because we want the market to understand, we want transparency, we want clarity, we want the market to know what they're being offered, right? So that's really important. The National Green Building Standard was put together by a consensus committee, which we maintain. The Research Center does not have a vote on that, right? We're the cops on the street, as it were. We manage that process to make sure of three things. One, it was operated free of conflict of interest so that nobody could have undue influence on it. No sector could have undue influence on it, whether it was the government sector or some private sectors. That was one. Number two is that everybody was afforded due process. Every meeting, we took 2 years. The consensus committee had 43 people on it. They took 2 years writing the standard. There were, I don't know how many days of meetings. Every one of those meetings was open to the public. The public was invited to participate and speak at every one of those. And we received, as is required by ANSI, we put it out for public comment. We received 1,100 written comments on various aspects of the standard. And every one of those comments got a written response from us as to whether or not their recommendation was accepted. And if it wasn't accepted, the rationale of the committee for rejecting it, right? It's much like the way we want our government to operate, right? The legislature will enact a policy, the regulators will write implementation rules, and it is essential that we all have the chance to chime in on that. That's what creates legitimacy in our system. It is the truest form of principle in our democracy. And that's what the ANSI process says, is that we know that everybody had a chance to have their say, and no one entity, no one sector could outmuscle the other sector, and that everybody was going to get, and everything was done transparently. So here's the proof of that to me. There were 43 votes on that committee. People are surprised to hear this. Guess how many builders were on it? The 43. Three out of 43. The rest were code officials, DOE, EPA, the environmental community, USGBC, product manufacturers. This is not a builder's standard. This is a building scientist's standard. And it's the most rigorous standard out there. Now I'm going to wrap up. Our role in this, as an accredited certification body, it is my fiduciary obligation to make sure that our mark never goes on a non-compliant product knowingly. That is my responsibility. It is my commitment to the marketplace, to my board of directors, and to my stockholder. So in doing this, the way we ensure that it's the old adage, we trust, but we verify. Right? One of our requirements in the program is the builder, in conjunction with his verifier or his designer, tells us all the features that are going to go into the home that constitute a green home. That's the builder's choice. He or she can do whatever they want in accordance with the standard. Once they say, this is my target, that gets locked into place, and we say, now those are the rules of the game we're going to judge you by. You wrote the rules, not me. You said you were going to put these features in. Now we're here to make sure that you actually do that. And the way I do that is we have established a cadre of accredited verifiers. These are verifiers. Here it was Swiftshore verifiers. Raise your hand, Swiftshore. They are accountable to me. These are my agents in the field. We don't hide behind that. We don't pretend they're not my agents in the field. I'm responsible for the decisions they make, and so I make sure that they make decisions consistent with proper practice. And the way we do that is we have minimum requirements for training and education. We train them on the standard, we test them, and we audit them. We audit 3% of the decisions they send in. So we go out and say, let's go look at that last job you do and see that we did it right. So that's our role as a third party. So this development here, I'm going to shut my big yap, but I get passionate about this because I think it's really important what's going on. We are part of our objective. I'm a father of 4, as many family here, and I think we owe it to the next generation to leave this place a little bit better than we found it. I live in a very similar environment. I live just off the Chesapeake Bay. It is just an incredible treasure we have, and it's a stressed ecosystem. And it's really important that when we see business leaders and political leaders in jurisdictions standing up and saying, you know what, we can get to a higher level of performance for our constituents and our consumers in a voluntary above code practice. I think the fact that we're doing this on a voluntary basis where the market is going to compete is the genius of this, right? Where we're having people seek opportunities, and the profit motive does this. It creates accountability in the marketplace. I know it's interesting, a lot of people sometimes say, oh, something's untoward about profit, it somehow lessens the credibility. I believe quite the contrary. If the market finds out, if I were to ever find out I'm not doing my job, my company would be gone. If a builder can't produce a high-performance home that the market can afford and wants to buy, we haven't fulfilled our potential. And that's what we're trying to do. So what you're doing here in this beautiful part of the world, I actually kind of like the overcast. I was surprised to come out here and see all the sun yesterday. It was a little disconcerting. So I feel a little more at home from the small number of trips I've taken out here. It really is important to stop and note what these builders are doing in this community and the land development. This is a certified land development, 4-star. That's the highest rating we can get. And all the homes that are going to be built here, including the net zero home, are going to be certified under our program. Know this, is that when we certify, there is every practice that is claimed to be in the home, my inspector has to see. There's at least 2 inspectors. We don't take documentation in lieu of inspection. If my inspectors don't see it, we don't get credit for it. Right? So it's the notion of trust but verify. So I've taken too much time, especially with the mayor here, but it was worth the trip from the East Coast because this is a really important thing that's being done in this very beautiful community. And we are really, really pleased to have played a very small role in your success in this community. So thank you very much. I appreciate your hospitality. Congratulations.